Greetings, comrades. My name is Gigantals, and the first thing I can happily report is that, I know I mentioned in an earlier video, but my exams are officially over, so my current exam season is finished. I can finally sit back and relax a little bit. I was a bit stressed out, particularly how I was running a bit over time for my schedule because of how complex one of them was. But that's all over. Now I can just sit back and relax a little bit. The next thing I really have to worry about concerning exams is just my the preparation for my dissertation, probably just drafts I have to do. But I don't really know what to do about them yet. I'll only get information about that in maybe a couple months' time. So I can just sit back and relax for a little bit. Progress to the Eastern Lightning College, you may have seen a little bit of a hint from the title. We've definitely made a lot of progress, and other than the fact that I did release a video yesterday concerning the Eastern Lightning Cold tactics, how it's changed over the years. Well, in one of the groups I'm in, what happened was I reported to one of the admins in that group. Okay, you got a lot of Eastern Lightning cultists in the group. You know, I'll give you names of them and stuff, so you can get rid of them. And he said, oh, "Okay, that's cool. Sure, do that." And so I'm going to change head Mansell. And so I said, and they said, "Oh yeah, sure, okay, yeah, you do that." And we are now going to remove those cultists. I was like, okay. So I collected a bunch of cultists. I think I collected maybe 60 or something, and I basically gave it to them. And then they came to me this morning and said, "I'd like to make you a moderator so you can help deal with this problem." I said, "Yeah, sure, I'll do it." I go on there and I then immediately go to, because I just want to see what sort of group it is. I immediately go onto the posts that's needed. No, then you see to the pending posts, and my jaw almost drops. Now, I'm in a lot of Facebook groups, and the largest one that I'm helping moderate is 101,000 members. The one I'm currently in is 181,000, so it's the biggest group I'm running currently. How about it? Any of you who help moderate stuff on Facebook, you may know that it'll tell you how many pending posts there are. Well, when it came to the when I went to check that number, it said 1,000 plus posts. And it wasn't until later until I actually checked on my phone, which it gave me the exact number of posts there. It said you have 9,100 posts or something to go through, and I was like, oof. So I can say that there were probably 10,000 posts in that group that it was still pending. The oldest dated to December the 22nd of last year. I spent the last hour going through those posts, and I'm almost a fifth of the way through them. On the bright side, and the problem is that I can't just initially what I want to do is just delete all the posts from anything more than a month old, because I'm not going to start releasing Christmas stuff in the group at present. It's going to mess up everything. What I was planning on doing, that's what I was planning on doing. So what I'm doing now instead is I'm going through all the posts and deleting them manually one by one. And every time I see something from the Eastern Lightning cult, I go onto that person's site and then onto their group posts. I delete them all and I block them immediately. So it's beneficial in a sense, because they're literally sticking their necks out for me to cut them off, which sounds a bit aggressive, but the point is they basically expose themselves waiting for their pending posts to be accepted and stuff. Yeah, it's definitely going to take a bit of time to get through this stuff. It may take a few days, and then when I accept an invitation to a group to moderate a group, what I do is I go through all the pending posts and I'll clear that up. Then I go through all the comments and reports and everything, and then what I do is I go through the posts. I go into I go into the member list, and then I go and look up the typical keywords help me give away Lightning East Lightning Court members. So I look up, Southeast Asian names, Lee, Wong, Wang, Zhao, all those sorts of names that are usually very common among the East Lightning Court members. And then I go through and I look for these members and I delete them. I can get rid of a couple dozen that way. And then I go into the search function for the entire group. And the list of links I have, I just paste them in there, and I manually go through every one of those groups, every one of those links. And every time I see one of those cult members, I go into their group post, I delete them all, and I kick them out of the group. And I do that constantly. And it can take actually the group I'm currently in, the other one, the 101,000 one. It took maybe 3 or 4 days to clear it out of the Eastern Lightning cult members, or at least all the big active ones and most of the dormant ones. And then I spent time since then basically just going through changing keywords like WhatsApp, adding keywords like WhatsApp, link, click, money and stuff, because there were a lot of scammers in there, and so I was just going through that, clearing up the groups. So I'm definitely pulling my weight when it comes to cleaning up Facebook groups. But the problem is, because of the sheer amount of posts in this one, it's definitely going to take a while. But when I get to the end of that, I'm going to be so happy. Again, okay, currently I have 8,600 posts left to go through, and I'm on January the 25th, so I'm definitely a few months behind. But you know what? I'm getting rid of loads of cultists, loads of their posts. I'm definitely making progress with that, and I'm glad to do that. So just switching on so I can show you this again. Another thing happened. I'm currently reading this book. Hold on, let me pick it up. I'm currently reading this book here. Okay. Sorry about the. Can the light stop? Okay, you can read that. It says The Present Darkness, okay? By Frank E. Parrott. I advise that you guys do read that book because it's a very good book. Believe me. Other than okay. The way I usually see when it comes to Christian literature is that there used to be two. Now there's, as far as I see, there's three main categories that you can go to. There's the very subtle, which is like Tolkien, who didn't mention anything about the church or Jesus or the Holy Trinity or anything. He was very subtle in his Catholic messages. Then there's C.S. Lewis, who was not as subtle, but then he used a lot of metaphors, like Aslan being Jesus and everything. And then there's this guy, okay, Frank here. It is Frank, right? Yeah, like Frank there. He's not subtle at all. He's it's all about that completely and everything. So I guess those three genres seem to be the main. So very subtle metaphors and blatantly obvious seem to be the three main genres of Christian literature when it comes to writing and sort of stuff, which is interesting because it's giving me pointers in how I can write about my own stuff. It's an interesting book. Hopefully by the time you guys watch this, you can't spoil it for me because I'll finish it. I mean, I'm just got like less than 100 pages left. It's a very good book. I'd recommend you guys read it. I have also bought other books to read, mainly stuff about theology and things. There was one. Actually, you know what? Let me find it for you. Okay, firstly, I'd like to apologize for saying let me. I just wasn't sure what to say. I usually start to like that, mumble everything when I'm busy pondering what to do. Because, yeah, my brain works too fast, apparently, for my mouth. Anyway, I also got this book too. Okay, The Babylon Connection. And this is interesting. You see, anyone who's involved in theology, okay, anyone who's involved in any way Catholic theology, whether you're for it or against it, will know about the two Babylons. And that was published by a Baptist guy, I think it was, Baptist fundamentalist, in the late 1800s or something. And he makes thousands of accusations against the Catholic Church, saying how apparently where the Catholic Church is like neo-Babylonian paganism. We worship Nimrod and Semimarus, his wife, or whatever. And there's a whole bunch of things. They talk about sun worship and everything. He accuses us of being literal pagans. And there'll be many, many attempts to refute this. Because it's just so rubbish, effectively. It's so badly researched. Even though the Jehovah's Witnesses were still using it until like the 70s. But most people don't use it anymore. And I'm glad, because I've been going on a lot of sites looking for books like this. And there are a lot of Protestants saying, look, we can find other resources concerning Catholic theology and how to refute it, but we shouldn't be using the two Babylons because that stuff is not very viable. And so that's what this book is. This book is a more focused approach to that. And I'm looking forward to reading it. I mean, this guy who wrote the book, he isn't even Catholic, okay? At one point in the book, near the end, he says, concerning Saint Alphonsus Liguori, who he saw a dream of a sinful man trying to climb up two ladders. He tried to climb up one to where Jesus. Okay, there were two ladders. One had Jesus on top, one had Mary on the other. He tried to climb one of Jesus, and Christ was very angry and he fell. And then he climbed the one Mary was above, and he climbed it up easily, and Mary welcomed him and took him to heaven. And he basically says he feels a bit uncomfortable with that. He thinks that's wrong. But if you're going to disagree with Catholic theology, then you should at least actually know what they believe. And I'm sure that I can deal with something like that about St. Alphonsus' dream. I'll cover that at some point. But this guy, he's an honest guy, okay? He says, what's his name? Sorry. His name is Ralph Woodrow. And I've seen an attempt to try and refute a short essay he wrote concerning it before he wrote this book. Not very credible. But the point is, again, you don't have to necessarily be Catholic to watch my videos or anything. Okay, if we agree about things, we agree about things. If we disagree about things, we disagree about things. But if you're going to disagree with me over something, please actually understand what we Catholics believe, okay? Just as how we should, if we're going to disagree with Protestants, we should actually know what they believe. We shouldn't just accuse them of whatever, because that's not how you get dialogue. The second book, and I got this a while back, is this one, by Catholicism and Fundamentalism, okay? So I'm trying to, there you go. This was written by Karl Keating, and it's very interesting because it deals with most of the attacks on us by fundamentalists. And it's interesting because I got through this. It actually introduced me to the two Babylons, and it says this is why we disagree with this. And he basically mentioned he refuted a whole bunch of things. At the book, he talked about me recommended resources, and at one point he said you should check out Catholic Answers, Doc. You should check out Catholic Answers, the apologetics group run by me. And I'm like, because Karl Keating is the guy who runs Catholic Answers, or Catholic.com, which is the largest online Catholic apologetic site. So this was just brilliant. So as you can see from this week, there's definitely been a lot of progress in things. Getting books about theology and refuting claims that we are apparently Babylonian pagans, being accepted into various groups, Catholic groups, help moderate, clearing up hundreds of Eastern Line cult members and thousands of their posts, making progress with that, and exams are over, which means I should be able to spend more time on the videos and stuff. I'm going to try and continue with editing my my church council in a nutshell video. There's a problem with the first council of Constantinople in a nutshell. I'm going to try and get that out of the way as soon as I can, and just maybe try and get that up next week, hopefully. But otherwise, I should start getting, I guess, hopefully more regular releases for the next few months before I start focusing on my dissertation heavily. That's pretty much for now. So, next video, I'm not sure if it's going to be the Ninth Life at University thing, or if it will be the first council of Constantinople in a nutshell. But that's definitely that one is definitely an important council, because it helps finish off the Niceno-Constantinopolitan Creed, or the Nicene Creed, by defining the divinity of the Holy Spirit, among other things. But that'll be for that video. So anyway, God bless you all. See you next video, comrades. Until then.